Hi, I'm James Hedrick, and in the next 6 minutes, I'm going to give you the reason why everything you need to gain complete energy independence has been out of reach for so long. In this short video, I'll reveal the hard truth about one of the world's most brilliant minds in all of history and the shocking evidence that this man built the most advanced device which revolutionized the way electricity is being used. I reveal how you can power all of your household devices while using this mysterious box and how you will get more money back than electricity consumed. This device is so powerful that the Chinese government banned using it in their country. People are getting huge facilities built to power up these boxes, making them money that the government could not control. You can see in this video that the Chinese set up these huge facilities which made them millions of dollars while they played games. This sounds too good to be true. In fact, it was so good that in 2018, the manufacturers of these machines were sold out each month after just enabling their website for 5 minutes. Millions of people placed orders for these magnificent devices, and they soon realized that they did not take one factor into consideration, which made using their devices very impractical. But I have done it. I've managed to get these devices to work in any house and not just those huge facilities. Before revealing what it's all about, allow me a few moments to tell you the story behind this incredible discovery and how it all started. You probably heard of Satoshi Nakamoto. He's the inventor of a brilliant computing network which allows people to connect these devices and get paid up to 3 times the amount of electricity consumed. Now that sounds crazy, but here's proof that this actually works. The factory which produces these machines made over $2.8 billion in 2018. The people buying these boxes were either crazy or it actually works. I was a bit skeptical too, but I was proven to be wrong when I got to try one. Now, most of these cells have been made to huge facilities which purchased these machines in bulk, and the demand was so big that regular customers were left out. What I am about to reveal will allow you to bypass the factory to get your hands on existing machines and modify them to make them 2 times more efficient than when they came from the factory. Now, I don't know how much longer I'll have this free presentation online, so if you stick around until the end, I will reveal how you, with the aid of this simple device, can make up to 3 times more money than what you spend on electricity. For example, if your bill is $180, you will be making over $500 in revenue by connecting just one machine at your house. Now, before this company invented these machines, the facilities were using personal computers and laptops trying to achieve similar results. But those were not very efficient, producing only half as much as the cost of the electricity. And the main issue was that computers were not built to run 24/7. So they were breaking frequently, losing more money than they generated. Back in 2013, the owner of the company hired some brilliant computer scientists with the task of creating a new machine that can generate 6 times more money than the regular computers. It took them 3 years to perfect their device. And when it was released, the devices worked so well that they had to build 3 more factories just to deliver the insane amount of orders, which kept coming in from both Chinese and Russian companies. Now, while it's complicated to explain how these devices make more money while they're powered on, the only thing you must know is that you can get a wire transfer 4 times a month directly into your bank account for simply keeping these devices connected. Long story short, big companies need processing power for running their businesses, for processing computer-generated imagery, and for crunching big numbers. So stick around and I'll tell you more about that. Honestly, what I'm about to reveal to you today will totally shock you, and in a few minutes from now, you'll be furious that you had not heard of this sooner. You've probably lost more than $40,000 since it got launched. First, though, let me tell you who I am and why I know the secret that I'm about to reveal to you. Now, as I mentioned before, my name is James Hedrick, and my friends just call me James. I'm a 5th-generation farmer here in Burlington, Iowa. Over the past 6 months, I've devoted virtually every free moment of my time, except for when I go to church on Sunday mornings, to helping 29,127 honest, hardworking, and liberty-loving Americans just like you break free from the long tentacles of big electricity and discover how to generate 3 times more money than the cost of electricity by plugging in this simple box with a few modifications done in less than 4 hours. Now that's even if you can't tell the top of the hammer from the bottom. Using the same simple method I'm going to reveal to you later in this video, Derek Webb of Canton, Ohio, recently sent me a letter saying,
in the first 30 days, I got 3.5 times more money back than I paid on my electricity. And my electrical bill was $275 per month. And I got a wire transfer of $962.50. And it's impossible to overstate how much this extra money has made things easier for my family.
And Gino Dinelli of Staten Island, New York writes, I live in a crowded neighborhood, and you should have seen how the neighbors stared at me as I opened my bank statement since using your method. I was literally cackling like the Wicked Witch of the West out there. But I don't care. The joke's on them because I got $920 that month from using your solution. Derek and Gino are just two of thousands of people who have written me over the last year telling me how thrilled, elated, and even sometimes flabbergasted they are by the simple truth of how easy it is to use the Freedom Box, shutting the door in the face of greedy corporations and keeping their families warm and protected. I'll tell you everything in just a moment, but before I get to that, let me just explain why I'm so passionately invested in helping you to get off the grid and keep your home, your family, and your freedom protected from the evil electric mafia. It all started when my 5-year-old son looked at me directly in the eyes and said, Daddy, I don't want to lose our farm. Now, I've been accused of having the gift of gab, but when I heard these words, I saw his big brown, innocent eyes staring up at me. And for once in my life, I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to lose the farm either. It's been a source of food, comfort, and financial security passed down through my family from father to son for 5 whole generations. But things had been changing. Did you know that in 1901, 42% of all Americans lived on farms? Well, today, that number is less than 1%. Companies like Monsanto and Cargill have state claim to almost all the farmland in the U.S. and either bought out or forced out the families who inhabit them. To kill the American farmer, they move into new areas, operate at a loss of millions of dollars to make their prices irresistible to the community, then threaten to blacklist any buyers or distributors who do business with their enemies. We're sorry, my former friends would say, I would, but I have my own family to look after. If word gets out that I'm buying from you, I'll lose my contract with Monsanto, and I just can't afford to do that, especially with this drought, especially with the economy the way it is. I'm sorry. Now, with mounting bills, swarming debt, and less money coming in, I made the horrible decision to take out a mortgage on the farm. That kept us afloat a little longer, but we were still having more and more trouble finding buyers for our crops. And with fewer buyers and mounting bills, I fell behind on my mortgage payments again and again and again until suddenly the bank was calling and notices were showing up in the mail, and it seemed like I'd exhausted almost all of my options. I felt so sick, just sick of big business treating me like a meaningless ant, sick of telling my children, no, we can't turn up the heat, or no, I can't give you money for a movie, and sick of feeling helpless, of feeling like there was nothing I could do but sit there and expose myself to punch after punch in the gut. Now, not knowing what to do, I got in my 97 Silverado and made the 3.5-hour drive to the farm of one of my family's oldest friends, Hank Bean. Hank's family has been around farming in Iowa for just about as long as mine. I figured if there was one person who might have an idea of how I could save my farm, it would probably be him. I had no idea, however, as I drove down the single-lane highway that led to his property, that what I was about to see that day would not only give me the key to preserving our farm for my children and their children's children, but that it would also alter the course of my life forever, turning me into a leader, someone who would go on to help more than 29,000 Americans, more than 15,000 families to become completely and entirely energy independent. Or that I might soon be teaching all of these other folks, just like you, how to turn energy into an asset and not a liability, so that they could start receiving fresh printed checks every month from their banks. Hank and I sat down, poring over any possible options for saving the farm. And it quickly became clear that because of the chokehold Monsanto had on our town and the farming industry in general, increasing my sales wasn't going to be a viable option. What I needed to do, Hank said, was figure out a way to cut my expenses. But how? I was already operating on a bare bones budget, already had my irrigation on a timer, already getting clothing for my children at the Salvation Army, and already keeping our heater at almost criminally low temperatures during the winter, making me sick. It just made me sick as I watched my children wrap themselves in blankets and snuggle together for warmth. And this is why when Hank asked about my electric bill, I told him there was no possible way to reduce it. Yes, I was paying over $2,400 a month to keep my farm powered, but I just couldn't set the thermostat any lower or cut off electricity to the barn where our livestock depended on warmth to survive the negative 15-degree winters that we experience in Burlington. So when Hank smiled at me after I explained all that about how my power bill was a necessary evil and told me that my problems were solved, that it looked like I'd be able to keep the farm after all, passing it on to my children, setting our heater to as high as we wanted, and actually getting paid money every month in the process, I thought he'd lost his mind. But as I followed him outside, around the house, and back behind the barn, what I saw made me realize that he was right. Hank showed me something that changed my life forever. Behind Hank's barn was one of the weirdest looking machines I'd ever seen. It looked like a box that came straight out of a sci-fi movie. But this strange little box was powerful enough to produce the money needed to power his entire 27.5-acre farm. And it cost him literally $0 to keep it running. What's this? I asked Hank. He smiled again. It's just a new way of farming, online farming. So let me explain how this actually works and who's paying you to keep the machine connected. There are thousands of companies around the globe in need of computing power to run their business. It all connects to a master network which gets the information that must be processed and assigns a task to that magic processing box. All you need is electricity and internet connection and you're all set. I asked Hank how he got into this and why I didn't hear about it in the newspaper or on TV, etc. It was a pretty crazy story. It was hard to tell if it was true or not. But long story short, he got it when visiting a friend in New York. There is a trick, though, with these machines. And by default, they make an insane amount of noise. Just listen. The sound was so powerful that I could not hear what Hank was saying 2 feet from me. It was like a race car revving the engine right next to my eardrum. And I got one of these machines home with me and started to study what was actually making that noise and realized that it was one of the fans installed on the machine to cool it off. My son suggested disconnecting the fans in order to see what kind of temperatures we were getting. That turned out to be a really bad idea. In a matter of seconds, it jumped from 86 degrees to 194 degrees, and it was starting to smell like something was cooking inside. This clearly required a more advanced way than disconnecting the fans. Otherwise, the manufacturer would not have installed them in the first place. I spent over 6 weeks browsing online for a solution, and after burning up 2 more of these machines, trying different ways to cool them down, I discovered the winning solution. With a cheaper radiator and a pump, I built the ultimate chiller for this device. Now, the best part is that it makes noise similar to a house fan, which is actually under 40 decibels, dropping a whopping 50 decibels from the original design. And then 3 months after first building my money-making box, I had the icing on the cake. I'll always remember that day. It was August 31st, 2016. I just received the newest bank statement and I opened it as I sat at our kitchen table. Inside there was a transaction for $2,608.93. It was one of the best feelings in the world. Not only had I reduced my bill over $2,400, I was actually getting paid while I did it. It was at this moment that I knew I had to share this money generator with other people, that other Americans just like you deserve to have this feeling of being completely free from the bloody fangs of big electric. Plus, I don't know about you, but between the inflation of our food prices, the declining value of the dollar, and a government that's racking up trillions in debt trying to create a socialist welfare state, it seems to me like every single American better have a backup plan. So I knew that it was vital that I shared this information with you. But there were three problems. First, Hank's money generator box was too noisy. You could not install this in a regular house and let it run 24/7. The neighbors would call the police after the first night. Second, the setup in Hank's blueprint was too big. 65 feet isn't a big deal on a farm. But what if you live in an urban area with a backyard that's only 16 feet across? I had a moral obligation to help everyone, not just farmers, to gain independence and safety. And third, Hank's generator was very hard to find. So I had to find an alternative machine, which can be found by anyone these days, and it had to be 100% safe for everyone to use. After I identified the problems, I got to work and put together a step-by-step video guide on how to modify the machine in order to operate it at home. And we also made a list with everything you need and where to buy them to make a money-making box for under $200. And after a year of obsessive research, studying, designing, and making prototypes, I finally created a money-making box so elegantly simple that every American could easily put one in their home. I named it the Freedom Box. It's based on an industrial machine which I now converted to be household friendly in terms of noise and operation safety. You can have this box in any place that you have electricity, and it will return the investment up to 3 times more. The best part is that you will see immediate returns from the moment you connect the box to electricity. It takes less than 4 hours to build, even if you have no construction experience and struggle to assemble a 5-piece desk from Walmart. The design was made to be simple so that even children or the elderly would have no problem putting it together. Total construction cost is less than $200. And most people will be able to build one for less than $90 using parts they already have in their homes or can find at a local junkyard. Any pieces you do need to purchase can be found by driving down the street to your local hardware store. It's entirely scalable. You can generate substantial income even if your backyard is only 7 feet wide. If you have a larger property, you can easily expand it to create even more money and increase the amount of income you receive from the bank each month. It's leak-proof and mess-proof. I poured through thousands of blueprints and made constant improvements to them until I was 100% positive that this is a 100% safe and clean device. Plus, it's discreet. No more noise because of the special design. And while solar panels are a glaring bullseye on your house when SHTF and noisy gas motors scream for nosy neighbors, sinister looters, and desperate criminals to come check out your home, the Freedom Box simply sits in a mound a few feet off the ground. No one sees it, hears it, and your family stays safe. The money you produce can be accessed immediately. You don't need to have a science degree to make this happen. All you need is one piece of equipment that can be purchased for less than $200 from eBay. But most important of all, you will have enough money not to care for energy to run your entire home. You can produce enough money to pay your power bill and also put something on the side each and every month using this technology. You won't have to scream at your children to turn off the lights when they leave a room or shiver in the winters as your thermostat stays set at a frigid 65 degrees. That's exactly what happened to Greg Adler from Tucson, Arizona, who writes, "I am still in shock at how well this works. I live in the hot, stinky desert, which is not exactly a Garden of Eden. I just run one of these boxes and I was able to cut my electricity bill entirely and getting paid $327.30 each month to do it." And Alan Belding of Bozeman, Montana, who says, 5 years ago, I would have called you crazy if you'd said the first day of the month would be one of my favorites. Now I look forward to it like a kid on Christmas. I live in an apartment, so I have limited space. At the start of every month, I get my check for $317, sometimes more. I use the money to take my wife and daughter out to a steak dinner. It's quickly becoming one of our favorite family traditions. But I also wanted to make dead sure that this was something that anyone could build, no matter what their skill level or ability. And as the results kept pouring in, I kept hearing over and over again that this worked, that it had been built in just a few hours from people like my cousin Ronald, a city boy who lives about 10 minutes outside of downtown Boston. He said he had built his generator and started making money for powering his entire home in just under 3 hours. I finally knew it was time to share my designs with you and other liberty-loving patriots who are tired of feeling enslaved to powerful and sinister criminal interests. So, today I'm making the Freedom Box available to you. The Freedom Box is a comprehensive system giving you everything you need to cut your power bill in a matter of days. You'll receive step-by-step video guides showing you in detail how to build your own Freedom Box setup from the ground up. It's like having a master craftsman in the room with you. Just watch what I do, copy me, and your generator is practically built for you. You'll get a comprehensive materials list covering exactly what you need and where you can get it. Now remember, the vast majority of assembly pieces are either already in your yard or garage or a mouse click away. Your total cost for construction is less than $197 and may be well under $100. You'll find out where you should build your Freedom Box and how one microscopic adjustment can double the amount of money it produces. I'll provide a copy of my blueprints too. Print out these illustrated instructions and keep them nearby while you're building it. And literally anyone can build this. When I was making your blueprint, your materials list, and your start to finish video guides, I pictured it was for my 5-year-old boy. That meant it had to be so simple, so painless that even he could build the Freedom Box and set it up in a matter of hours. Imagine what it'll be like to have the heater set to 77 degrees on a cold winter day, to have chicken cutlet baking in the oven, to run warm bath water for your daughter as she gets ready to go to bed. Even as others in your neighborhood are bundled together, wearing layer upon layer of clothing, seeing their breath in the frigid air as they try to sleep. You know, my word is as strong as oak. All you have to do is follow the Freedom Box video instructions and your step-by-step guide, and no matter what your age, physical condition, ability, or know-how, you will be able to create your own money-producing source, completely relieving you from dependence on the grid with enough money to actually not care about the big electricity cartels. So how do you get started with your own Freedom Box? Well, at this point, you likely realize how game-changing the Freedom Box is. And you probably also want to know how much you have to invest to get the step-by-step video guides and blueprints, which will allow you to build it yourself. I can tell you right now that nothing like this exists in the world. There are other money-producing machines to be sure, but I have completely reinvented it, drastically reducing the noise so in urban environments you can have one, making it 1,000% more dependable than any other generator in existence, and designing it to be made simply from a handful of parts that cost under $200. There are other alternatives, of course, but you already know they aren't real solutions. You could pay $5,000 to hire an installation company to come put giant, ugly, attention-grabbing solar panels on your roof. It'll take them several weeks to do that at a cost of over $60 per hour per person in added labor, making your true cost closer to $10,000 or more. Or you could invest in a DIY solar kit. The inexpensive ones will still run you around $600, and they never work as advertised. Now, you may be able to power a Christmas tree, but that's about it. Or you could rely on gasoline-powered generators. But to run your air conditioner or heater, your water heater, your electricity, your stove, and appliances, you're looking at somewhere around 10 gallons per day. So even if somehow you have a 20-gallon drum of gasoline sitting around your home, which, by the way, is extremely dangerous, you'd still only have enough power for 2 days. So take a moment to think about the conversation we're having right now. Unfortunately, your biggest concern isn't money. It's about keeping your family warm, fed, and protected. It's about being certain of their survival and meeting their every need. This is about freedom. It's about turning the tables. It's about becoming entirely self-reliant, not dependent on the government or the corporations desperate to turn your family into a bunch of little numbers found at the bottom of a profit and loss sheet. It's having them pay you. And it's about taking that step today that protects your family from that corporate greed for decades or even centuries to come. Even as the price of gasoline and electricity continues to explode, you don't want to be sitting in front of your computer in the cold 10 years from now and suddenly remember this video and all the money you could have saved. You don't want to have that moment where you realize that you could have become free of your grid dependence instead of struggling mightily to pay your $350, $750, or $1,050 power bill every single month. The normal retail price for the Freedom Box is $99.97, and both my family and every single one of the 29,127 people who have already tried it tell me that I'm insane for pricing it so low. I mean, think about it. Assuming your monthly bill is a modest $150 per month over the last decade, you've given the energy companies $18,000. If you live in a larger home and your cost is $350 a month, it's a staggering $42,000. The very first month I built and used my Freedom Box, my power bill dropped from $2,413.16 a month to zero, actually making me a profit of a little under $200, and I live on a huge 29-acre property. Imagine how much you'll save if you live in an 1,800 square foot home. So $99.97 should seem like the deal of the century. But after a lifetime of battling the power company demons and being viciously attacked by big companies like Monsanto and finally breaking free from it all, having thousands of extra dollars every month and save money and being able to give my wife and children the clothing, food, and toys they deserve, I honestly believe I have a moral duty to put a Freedom Box in every American's home. 4 months ago, when I put out a 3-day coupon for Freedom Box, taking $20 off and selling it for $77.97, so many people hit buy that it literally crashed this website. You've stuck with me this far, and I see how serious you are about taking this vital step towards not only saving 80% or more off your power bill every month, but also ensuring the safety and comfort of your family, no matter what happens in the future. So for a limited time only, you can get the Freedom Box and start shaving tens of thousands of dollars off your power bill over the coming years, actually getting paid for the power you consume and preserving the safety of your family for just $37. But you have to act right now. And because I really want you to know how deeply and sincerely I'm fighting for you, if you invest in Freedom Box right now, and only during the special reduced price window, you'll also receive unrestricted support for life. Over 29,000 people have already proven how simple building your own Freedom Box really is. But I do realize that there are always going to be people who have questions or who want to discuss the best building location or ask about tips for increasing money output, even more. That's why if you act today, I'll give you my personal email address along with 24/7 access to an entire support team, honest Americans that I've hired for the sole purpose of helping you. If there is ever a moment where you're unsure of something or you have a question, simply shoot my team an email and we will immediately work with you to get it answered. You'll never feel stuck, like you're unsure what to do, or be left wondering if the modification you've decided to make is safe or not. All it takes to have the step-by-step video guides, your full color building blueprint and instructions, your materials list, cheat sheet, and lifetime support is click that big add to cart button directly below this video. There's no doubt by now you feel the sense of excitement that's creeping from your bones, realizing that there is finally a real alternative to paying the power companies an 1,125% markup on each kilowatt of energy you use. All that's standing between you and total independence is that big add to cart button right below. Break through the wall by clicking on it now and take what you deserve. What's your God-given right? Simply enter your credit card information in our secure payment processing form, which you'll find on the next page. Then you'll get the videos, blueprints, everything as an immediate download. There are only 3 button clicks standing between you and your freedom. I'll guarantee this changes your life forever. I realize that our economy is still reeling from Wall Street's greed and that we're all pinching pennies. I know that while investing $37 to save thousands is obviously a winning proposition, every purchase you make needs to be weighed carefully, which is why I have decided to put my money where my mouth is by offering you a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't save money on your power bill or you're unsatisfied for any reason at all, you don't pay a dime. This is how it works. Just click the add to cart button below. You'll be following in the footsteps of the 29,127 other Americans who've already made the decision to build their Freedom Boxes. Then download your package, watch some video guides, print out your step-by-step instructions, and go spend 30 minutes gathering up the materials. If at any point during the next 60 days you're unhappy, if for some reason you don't save drastically on your next power bill, or even if you only save 17% and wanted to save more, simply send me an email and I'll refund your purchase immediately. No questions asked and no hassles given. Look, growing up in a small rural community, I learned early on that a man's word was only as good as his actions. I know with utter conviction that the only reason I deserve your hard-earned money is if I have given you a product of total, overwhelmingly high value. And yes, I do feel pretty cocky with this guarantee too. I've seen firsthand the tens of thousands of people who are now getting checks for anywhere from $20 to $790 paid directly to them every single month. Plus, I've heard countless stories from those I've helped, all telling me how easy it is to build the Freedom Box, how it only takes 2 to 4 hours to make, how it costs less than $200 to build, how most of the parts can be found in the garage, and all you have to do to get started is push the shiny Add to Cart button right below, then click Submit on the next page, and download on the page after that. That's it. But you really must act now. Last time I discounted the price on Freedom Box, it crashed my entire website. I'm not making the same mistake twice. I've already set it so that after a small handful of people receive this special discount, the offer goes back to $99.97. Ultimately, though, the decision is yours. There are really only 3 choices you can make, and the first is not to take action. This video is about to end, and then you'll be left staring at the computer screen. You could just leave the offer and try hard to forget about what you just saw when your next power bill for $175 comes in the mail. And you can feel the guilt of knowing you're not truly doing everything in your power to provide for your family. The second is you try to build your own Freedom Box. It can be done, but there are huge problems. There are very few step-by-step guides online. Those that exist are highly technical and assume you have at least 60 feet of space with which to build yours, and often they require you to spend thousands of dollars just to learn them. And if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just invest the $37 instead? Which brings you to your third choice. Get Freedom Box today at absolutely zero risk to you. Join the ranks of over 15,000 American families, over 29,000 people in total, and by tomorrow, you could be generating massive amounts of income with no maintenance required. Time access to 24/7 support, so you'll never feel frustrated if you have a question and need an answer. All you have to do is letter and make a decision that has literally no downside and an upside of more than $40,000 in savings over the coming years. This video is ending in 30 seconds, and the choice is yours. What you've seen today is more about just saving money or getting paid by those huge corporations. Those parts are important, but there's more to it than that. It's about providing. How much will I save? The exact amount you'll save will depend on several factors, including how new your generator is, the size of your home, and the amount of electricity you normally use in your home. Our average customer saves about $174 per month, though others with larger houses have saved significantly more. 2. How much money will my Freedom Box produce? Like I just mentioned, the amount of money produced will depend on one factor, namely the size of your generator. It is more than possible to produce $100 per day with a large enough generator. 3. How do I fuel my Freedom Box? The coolest part about your Freedom Box is that it works with regular electricity straight from the grid. 4. What's maintenance like? Actually, there is very little maintenance. You simply remove dust once in a while and change coolant once every 4 to 5 years, just like you do with your regular car. 5. Will it work in the city? Yes, as long as you have a small place to install it. 6. Is it hard to build? Not at all. When I was designing this, remember, I made it so simple that my young son could build it on his own. There's very little physical labor, so even the elderly or those with a bad back or other ailments should have no problem. The average build time is about 3.5 hours. 7. What's included again? Inside, you'll get my comprehensive step-by-step video guide showing you exactly how to build your own Freedom Box setup. I made these videos with an over-the-shoulder approach, so it's basically like I'm there in the room building it with you. You'll also get the machine blueprints, full color step-by-step directions, and a full materials list.